Tango Nights Talks. This is episode 14, and this week we're going to do something a little bit different to what has been in the previous episodes. So back when we first envisioned these, and we did our first Urban Tango Nights Talks, myself and Alison, and discussed taking over Urban Tango Nights, so you can go back and watch that video. Obviously not much has really changed from how we set up Urban Tango Nights and what we envisioned from it. However, obviously, the world is currently in a pandemic caused by the COVID-19 virus, and in this video we're just going to discuss our approach to it and what we did, what we are doing, and where we think we will go and what's actually happened with it. We should obviously point out as well that these are our own views and what we plan to do. They're not an attack on what other people have done and not a criticism of what other people have done, but it's purely from our own point of view what we are thinking behind it. So let's go give it a brief recap. On Monday the 16th of March we held our last class, which was our lunchtime class. We had hoped to run an evening class that week, but at 5 p.m,
as I was walking home from work.
As Alison was working home from work, our assistant teacher Sarah was watching the news, and that's when our Prime Minister announced that pubs, clubs and social gatherings were to cease. So obviously we didn't run a class that night. Instead we contacted all those who we knew would be going to that class, and we decided to try an online class instead, in which we taught blues, and the recap video is up online. Then on the 23rd of March is when the UK officially went into lockdown, and we've been in a state of lockdown ever since. Things are starting to be eased in the lockdown criteria. Obviously we're in Wales, so we have different rules to England, which have different rules to Scotland. And Ireland. And as of this Monday past, people in Wales are now allowed to travel more than 5 miles and meet up with another household. I'm not sure if that's still outside or inside.
No, inside now, actually. Yeah.
As we have no friends, we don't go around other people's houses.
Well, so we're about, 3 weeks behind where England are, I suppose, is the best way of putting it.
So the question is, how does this actually impact our tango? So we'll probably go back right to the very beginning of what we were actually thinking about. So obviously we saw that the COVID pandemic was spreading throughout the world. Italy went into lockdown in early March. I think it was over the first or second week in March. And obviously there was the cases from China being reported back in late January.
Yeah, so we got a friend who lives out there, so we could see what was going on and what the lockdown looked like for them as well.
So we knew this was coming. Also, we both work in the university, which, if you want a situation which is ideal for spreading a virus, the education
higher education
and university setting is really likely to spread it, due to the fact that many of the staff and students travel internationally regularly, and lots of people coming together in small spaces. So we saw the preparation that our employer was doing, so we knew we had to do something from the point of view of Tango. So we did have several options of what to do when the inevitable lockdown actually occurred. The first is do nothing. We just close up shop, we stop Urban Tango Nights running, and then at some point in the future, which is of course is still unknown, we would restart and then continue as normal.
Which a number of people have done, and they've enjoyed the holiday in a way, because it is a lot of hard work running classes and events and things like that, and giving up your time.
However, from our point of view, Urban Tango Nights is not just a club for teaching you tango. We are a very social club. We're not a huge club by any stretch of the imagination. We're not even big, but we have a lot of very dedicated students and, more importantly, friends who dance with us over those lunchtime class and the evening class, and we didn't want to just sort of leave them
without a creative outlet really, or without the ability to see their friends either.
So we could have gone very informal with our friends and just done web meetings with them and just had like a chat, and I know some groups have done that. But again, the other part of being Urban Tango Nights is being inclusive and being welcoming to everybody. So we always wanted everybody out. We don't want to be this sort of like group, a clique of people. Everybody who comes to our class, we want to incorporate in. So we wanted to try and make this, as we say, all inclusive. So we decided to keep on running the classes. So even before the 16th, we were already trying to plan how to teach online. Through our employers, we had access to Zoom, so we could have a play around with that and get used to that piece of, I suppose it's his software, and working out how it worked and how the best way to actually teach it is. And then when the lockdown did come into effect, we bought our own Zoom license through Urban Tango Nights.
We were really lucky that people in our classes were really happy to be guinea pigs at the end of the line to test how things work, like sound, and how they could see everything okay, which device had the best stream from it, all those sorts of things, which was really, really helpful.
So obviously we start, then we have to adapt to our teaching. Obviously every teacher, I'm assuming, will think their own teaching methods are the best. Obviously we think ours are the best for what we want to achieve. So luckily our teaching methods did allow us to transfer to Zoom fairly quickly. The main issue the main difference is that in our class we teach everything by what's known as taxi system. So you do everything in partnership and move around the room and do the exercise and then join up with somebody else. Obviously due to lockdown, we have a lot of solo dancers come into the class, and therefore we have to try and engineer in more stuff that solo dancers could do, which is something we don't do in our class. Largely because if you watch our previous video, we think the best way to improve tango is actually by dancing tango. You do that in partnership. So we had to come up with a lot more sort of solo exercises to do. We were also very lucky that we moved into this house 3 years ago. One of the criteria we looked at when we were trying to buy a house was we wanted a place to dance in.
Yeah.
And this space that we're sat in now, and you'll see if you join any of our online classes or
watch our recaps.
Or
our tutorial series too.
is ideal for that. It's got a wooden floor, it's got a good space, it's got a good amount of light, it's a good shape. So we were very I'd say we're lucky, but
yeah, we are. There are a number of teachers out there who just do not have the space in their own homes to teach online. They just don't have it. And obviously, a number of people that attend our classes, they still attend the class even if they're only dancing in their kitchen or something like that. So, or hallway, indeed. Yes, that's probably the smallest. Well, it's quite a long space, but it's probably the narrowest space we've seen.
Yeah, heroes for.
It was interesting.
So obviously we got this space which allows us to teach, and also we're quite lucky that both myself and Alison are partners in real life.
We live together.
We live together. We are in a relationship.
Yes. Really?
Yeah, really. May not believe it. But also, we're not married. No. For all those who keep thinking that we are married.
Basically are, but not actually.
Yeah. Anyway, so obviously we can do both teaching together as a couple and also do the solo teaching and play off each other, which again we know
as we would normally do really in a normal class, physical class.
Yeah, which if you watch any of these other interviews series we've done, that some people who teach together do not live together and therefore haven't been able to come together and dance and can't therefore do something like a normal online class. Of course you can do online classes as just a solo leader or solo follower. So we had got used to teaching on Zoom. Obviously there was other options available. There was Facebook, YouTube streams. However, we didn't really want to go into those because again we want to have the interaction with the class. We're also lucky that we've got a projector up there, which allows us to see the whole class as well.
Yeah, it means that we can see how everyone's getting on and we can see people when they need to ask a question or anything like that. It's nice to still have that visual element to it rather than just text.
So we were certainly some of the first in the UK to start teaching via Zoom and getting a regular class going.
We had no break in teaching. Basically, we went straight from physical to online. We didn't have any kind of break at all.
Yeah. And what we've also thought, well, obviously our main advertisement outlet is Facebook. We have had newsletter for those who are not on Facebook, a website, and Instagram and stuff.
Twitter, YouTube.
And YouTube, obviously, yeah. Please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
But if you follow us, social media, you'll know that Facebook is our main outlet, and there's lots of groups on Facebook dedicated to advertising Tango. So we obviously shared the fact that we would be doing online classes, and we had quite a number of people asking to join us. So we know that Zoom has had this reputation of not being secure.
Well, I think that sort of seemed to have tailed off a little bit now, but at the beginning it was definitely a problem for a lot of people. I mean, obviously Zoom have worked really hard they put so many changes in and updates in the time that we've been locked down, so yeah, but at the very beginning it was something people were genuinely worried about.
Yeah, obviously some of the security worries were not really relevant to us. So there were ones about like the encryption if you're sending data back and forth to people, or text and stuff like that. Obviously that doesn't really matter to us. If you're business critical, then yeah. There was also things about you can share screens on Zoom, and one of the security things with people sharing screens with an important document, confidential document open on it.
Don't do that.
Don't do that, but again, not really relevant to it.
Or don't have your bank details, on the wall behind you, or something like that.
But the main Zoom security problem we would see is something called Zoom bombing, where you get somebody in your meeting who then shares abusive or is insulting or any of these things, offensive material through the meeting. So we needed to find ways around that. So we could do the password thing and send an email password. But what we decided to do was, if you wanted to join the class, you'd have to contact us via email and we'll send you the link. And in order for the GDPR stuff to work, and we're sending mass emails to people who've signed up to want to come to the class, we would have to add you to the mailing list to do that. And a number of people did.
Yeah.
Just like normal things though, where you do an event like this, you get lots of people signing up and
never see them ever.
You never see them.
They're still getting our newsletter, that's good.
Yeah. But we did have a number of people who did join us from all over the country, which is amazing. Because again, one thing we do at the beginning of every year, so on Christmas Eve we release a newsletter which is a recap for the year, and then on New Year's Eve we release a newsletter which is what we have planned for the year. And something we wanted to do this year was actually expand our teaching out to more people around the country. So last year, 2019...
Which you would think we would not be able to do in this current situation.
So obviously last year in 2019 we taught in a number of different places around the country: Isle of Wight, Fleet, Yorkshire, Skipton. Obviously all these people have also been in our talks videos, but we wanted to try and do more of that this year. But we've had people from Cornwall, Ludlow, Anglesey, Aberystwyth, Newcastle, Oxfordshire. Nobody from Scotland yet.
No.
If you're watching
from Scotland, please join us.
Yes.
Or Ireland, that'd be nice if we could get everybody.
But we've had people there, and they've been coming regularly, and we've got to know them, and they're now looking forward to actually coming to our events in the future. Yeah. So we've been teaching our class, and if you watch the recap videos from our classes, we've put them all into a separate playlist. They add to our normal recap playlist, which there's now going to be 179 in there. We've also created like a separate one as well with the videos just from lockdown. You can see how much we've actually progressed in our teaching time. So the first class we taught, I think it was just on Ochos, and it was all about just pivoting technique.
Yeah, it was.
But we've now really expanded up, and I think the breaking point was about week 5, was it, when we asked for suggestions from those
end of the class.
Yeah.
What would you like to do next week?
And we said Volcadas are probably out because we couldn't think of a way of doing. Just obviously Volcadas, you lean against each other. Very difficult to do without a partner. And everybody in the class goes, "Oh yes, the Volcadas would be good."
Yeah. Okay then.
Yeah. So we actually had to go teaching them, and we came up with some exercises you can do as a solo dancer, and looked at modifications to volcadas you could do as a solo dancer, and it worked, and we thought then we might as well just go a bit more ambitious with it. So since then we've taught things like octopus enganchos, like the Nick and Deanna styles, saltada enganches, loads of stuff.
Basically, what we would teach in a physical class that maybe you would think you would not be able to teach online, and we have managed to do that. I think after a while you get more comfortable and what you can do and how you can do it. I think is the way you teach it is just slightly different. Obviously, everything you teach, you need to make sure that all the solo dancers have got something to do at the same time, because obviously some of these things, don't always work without a person. But we've worked out with props. So we've had sticks, we've had cushions. Have we had chairs? We haven't done chairs. Have we done chairs?
We sort of did.
Oh, we sort of did one with a chair. Yeah, that's right.
For just doing a lift.
Oh yes, we did. Oh, the end of the sofa. Yes, we've done that one. Yeah, so it's just I think it's kind of challenges your teaching in a way to make you think in different ways, because obviously everybody I think gets not maybe stuck in a rut, but you do teach the same way all the time. So it's to be challenged to think in a different way and to see how you can teach it in a different environment, I think has been really good.
Yeah, and also we've tried to keep the class format roughly the same. So normally we start 7:30. We've given we've actually started now at 7:45.
Yes.
We still open the Zoom meeting at 7:30 and just have some music playing so people can warm up, have a chat, whatever they want to do.
At the beginning it was just for any technical issues, but obviously as time's progressed and majority of people have used Zoom by this point, we're having a lot less of those.
And also we have our biscuit break at 8:30,
yes.
like we normally do in our class. Biscuits are still on the day. And also we still have
not
the section.
Not that we're endorsed by McVitie's, I just want to say that.
I know, we can also do whatever this brand is as well. Or chocolate orange. Plenty of snacks ready for us.
There's chocolate raisins there as well.
Yeah, I
know
those.
You won't eat those.
So we tried and cover that. We also, in the couple of weeks before we actually finished running physical classes, we also started like a stretching section at the end, taught by our assistant teachers Sarah and Tara, and we've still been doing those over Zoom as well.
Really good. I think people have enjoyed having the opportunity to kind of stretch, and have a little bit of something in there.
Yeah. And also, we're still trying to keep the very social. So our classes, I say, is very social. It's sort of a class where you come along and have a chat with friends, and if you learn some Tango along the way, brilliant.
Yeah.
And most people do learn Tango and learn it to a very advanced level.
Yeah.
So it's
just because they're having fun and enjoying themselves, and it's in a relaxed environment as well. Obviously, if you're trying to learn something in an environment where you're not relaxed, you're not going to learn at all. And we've been in classes where it's not a relaxed environment, and you think no wonder nobody's progressing.
Yeah. But one thing which we're obviously a little bit sad about is we haven't been able to run our lunchtime class. We could run both sessions on a Monday, but we were thinking, obviously people don't have that much to do in the evenings anymore. Is there any point? We may look at doing some over the summer, or like moving to a different day and stuff like that. We did have some ideas which didn't come to fruition. Like we were thinking of doing a lunchtime DJ set each a couple of days a week, so sort of traditional Tuesdays, New Wave Wednesdays and alternate Thursdays, which we really just didn't have time to do.
No.
But
we're both still working, so neither of us are furloughed or anything like that, so we're both still doing our jobs, just working from home. So we're basically, our time is taken up in exactly the same way as it was before. Actually, nothing's really changed, but we just can't go outside.
But what we have found time to, we normally do a lot of time travelling to Malongas.
Yes,
we spend a lot of time travelling to Bristol because Bristol has a very good tango scene.
Lots of live music.
And if we want to go to a quality tango event, which isn't our own, we have to drive the 75 miles to Bristol. It doesn't take that long, it's only an hour and 20 minutes, but do that 2 ways, you're going, it builds up time, and and we also go to the Shrock class on a Wednesday every week as well, so in Swansea. So again, we've got some evenings free that we wouldn't normally have, which allows us to do more stuff, which we'll probably come onto a bit later in this video. But one thing we probably should go straight on from the class is events. So this year we were going to start, we did start the Create Malonga. So the Create Malonga was we were asked to start as a regular milonga in Wales, which was welcoming to everybody. So welcoming to everybody in the fact that they played all types of music, so nobody felt excluded if they don't like traditional music or they don't like new wavy music. There was something there for them all. It was also meant to be there to encourage beginners, so you don't have you can use the cabaret if you want to, you don't have to, you're not going to be looked down on if you don't.
A relaxed environment to come into.
And also for those of all means, so some milongas are very expensive to go to, so this was a free one done by donation. So we were invited every other month on the first Friday of the month, bar the couple of occasions where the room wasn't available, so we had moved them around
a bit.
It turns out now we are running on the first Friday of the month.
Yes.
But we held the first one in February, and then obviously April we were in lockdown, and we decided we're still going to try and actually run this as well. So we found a way of doing the music properly. We still have the lights set up in here so people like it. And again, like our classes, we had people from all over the UK joining us for those milongas, and we've run 2 of them so far.
Yeah.
Which
there are couples that join us and are dancing, but we get solo dancers as well that are enjoying dancing on their own and expressing themselves, or people just join to listen to the music as well, or just chill out on a Friday evening with a glass of wine and listen to some nice music.
Yeah. And then obviously another thing we really thought that we would see a lot of with this lockdown is we look for opportunities and stuff and try and take a positive view towards it. So we thought that people who wouldn't normally come to our class or events, because they've got nothing else to do, would still would actually take the opportunity to come to them, especially since they don't have to be there physically or whatever. And also we thought it'd be a really good opportunity to bring the tango scene in Wales together, because we've always stressed that we want to bring the tango scene together. And anybody who shared that vision should actually be doing this as well. So we decided to start something called the Come Together event, which came about from these actual talks interview with Eduardo and Merrick. Neither myself or Alison are professional tango dancers. Technically, we might be able to if we actually dedicated ourselves to teaching, a lot of dance. But we don't want that. What we want to do is actually just spread dance to the people. We've got jobs which we enjoy, and
basically we have other we have actual professions that we still actually want to do.
And also, we don't want dance to become like this chore of a thing to do as well.
Yeah, so, we don't want to. Have obviously because teaching dance and choosing that as your job is a big step, and and you don't want to ruin that relationship that you have with dancing, because obviously it means a lot to you and it's important to you. So it's a big step to take that one, and I think we're not really there yet, are we?
No.
If we ever are there.
So our philosophy is that we just want to teach people to dance and give them facilities to dance so they can
enjoy
themselves. But we do understand that there are professionals in dance, and this is a very hard time for them, especially early on when the government's sort of announcements were sort of excluding self-employed people and all that sort of stuff. So we wanted to try and support the actual professionals in the tango scene, whether they be musicians, dancers, DJs, whatever. So we had the idea of doing the Come Together milonga. So we contacted Eduardo and Merrick Eduardo to teach a guest teacher workshop, and Merrick to provide Merrick of Tango Color, this is the band owner yesterday, to provide some live music for us while doing for the milonga. And the original image is that people, if we became successful, we'd be able. Other people might ask to be part of it. We never had this, people asking to be part of it. So we've ended up just running a series of free events with Eduardo and Merrick, and each one's been getting bigger and bigger and better and better. But it's encouraging just because people were willing to support them, pay for tickets, and we were then able to obviously pay them. And also encouraging to them that people still want to hear them and gives them the opportunities to do stuff. And I think Eduardo's now gone on to put on his Friday night classes, and I think America's done some more stuff as well.
Mine as well, yeah.
So that's really good, and again we had people from all over the country coming to support that. And
from other countries, I think.
Yeah.
I think people were coming in who knew Eduardo coming in from France or Spain or something. So we had people logging in from around the world as well.
Yeah, So it's really good that those people have decided to support these events. And it's a very visual event, as you can actually see who's actually supportive of the scene and who is actually there. So we've run 3 of those. So we've actually run live music Malongas, which we weren't planning on doing this year.
No.
Of course, when we're talking about events like Malongas and guest teachers, we have to talk about the Tango Festival. So the disappointment of we've decided to postpone it till 2021. So in April, I contacted all the guest teachers, musicians, because we had 3 live bands there. I can't count off the top of my head how many teachers
and various other people involved.
DJs, food.
Yes, we basically, everything was set. Really, everything was done.
So back in April, I said we'll keep an eye on how things are progressing, see where things are going, and then we'll make an announcement in June. We actually decided in May when we saw what the trends were in other countries to go, okay, we're going to postpone it because we don't think it's fair on the professionals to be sort of lining up having to do something in December. We're not really sure how many people, we don't even know we'll be able to run that event.
No.
How many people we would, so how many people would be there, if people could travel to it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And so the stress of it and all this uncertainty, we thought...
There were just too many unknowns, just too many. The venue, we don't even know if the university would be open to an event like that, whether people would be able to come to it, whether people would be able to dance with other people, whether, not just dancers coming to the event, but teachers coming to the event and the bands and everything, or how it would work, basically.
So
how it would give... the experience that we want people to have from it as well. I think it was really important.
We want the Welsh International Tango Festival to be the best tango festival in the world, the UK.
Yeah.
And we don't mean just by having lots of people there. We mean actually be the best as something like
the experience.
You have the best experience there. And one of the real defining things was if we did run it and somebody did get ill and died of it, how would that make us feel?
Awful. Yeah. Awful, because somebody was, we put people at risk, I suppose.
Yeah. So that basically said, right, we will postpone it. Everybody involved with it, so the teachers were very understanding, and they thought it was a very good choice to move it to 2021.
They appreciated that we made the decision, and we made the decision early, rather than hanging on. Just to see, because obviously, again, these people are professionals. If they're relying on that sort of income and then it suddenly goes away, that's hard for them too.
Yeah, it's also the expense they might have as well. So.
Yeah, the flights and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So that was the Tango Festival, postponed as well. But now we've pretty much covered everything we've done. Now it's probably time to look forward to the future. So. Obviously, we know the festival we've booked in for a year and a half away.
Yeah.
We hopefully things will be back to some sort of regularity then. As we said earlier on the video, the UK is starting to come out of lockdown, so things like pubs are opening. There's still the social distancing.
2 metres.
But the fact still remain that the virus is still very much at large, and people are still getting infected with it, and people are still dying of it. Yes. We still don't know if there's going to be a second wave of it.
No, and for example, Leicester has now been locked down again because they've had a spike in cases. So that's another thing that could happen. If there's a spike of cases in your area might get locked down, not the necessary, or even the whole country could be locked down again, which is possibly going to happen in some places.
So we have we have to try and plan ahead now. So, as a club, as I say, we like to bring people together, and we don't want there on again a number of forums where people are discussing what to do. So, from our point of view, we don't want to have events which are single couples only, so only couples can come and only dance for themselves, because we don't want to exclude people. We never want to exclude people, so in any shape or form. So. We don't think that's viable for us to do. And also things like how you'd actually do that with spacing, and in the rooms, how would you do things like hand sanitizer works well if you have the virus on your hands. if you have the virus and you're breathing it out constantly, it's a problem. Masks, there is some evidence to show that they reduce the spread by reducing the distance the water droplets can spread. However, when you're dancing in any form of dance, we know people go, Tango is the closest in dance, but the mask will still, even if you're doing like a ballroom and you're way at the top half,
you're still very, very close together.
Yeah, mask etiquette, like how you put people off. Remember people you see in the streets who they're pulling on the front of their mask. Like there's no guidelines on how to use a mask properly and stuff like that. Gloves as well. These things that we'd have to take into consideration, like door handles. How would you keep everything clean?
Or even refreshments, I suppose, is something that we always have at our events. We wouldn't necessarily be able to provide that.
Yeah, toilets.
Toilets is another issue. I mean, it's hard enough running an event if you don't have to go around and clean the toilets and clean all the surfaces every X number of minutes. It's a huge extra stress to add on.
Yeah. And we've also got, as I said, that issue we had with the Tango Festival. What if somebody came and got ill from our events,
or came and obviously this virus, you can have no symptoms, so somebody could come and not realise they've got it and then give it to how many people in the room, who then you don't want to be the epicentre of another outbreak.
Yeah. So with that in mind, we have no plans to actually restart for a very long time to come. We're still going to be doing the online classes. We'll still be doing the Create Longer. We will look at doing other forms of the Come Together event. Obviously, with people coming out of lockdowns and ability to go out and go to the pubs, the success of those might dwindle off, who knows. And we still want to make it obviously viable for the professionals involved to be able to, does all the ticket sales go to them? Yeah. So we still want to be able to get enough ticket sales to do that. So we will do that on a play-by-play motion. Then how will things come out in the future? How obviously we can't mitigate against this sort of thing. The UK government was talking about our world-beating track and trace system, which is somebody with a phone and a pen and paper.
Yes.
Not really world-beating. I'm going to criticise the government. It is crap.
In comparison to other governments and other countries who've got some really clever systems, with tracing and phones and apps and things. Yeah. So. Track and trace is one way which would be really useful to have. Obviously it doesn't work if you don't have symptoms. A quick test where you can actually test if you have the virus, even if you have no symptoms, which is very, very available, and you can actually show that you don't have it, would be really useful. And obviously the biggest thing would be the vaccine. If a vaccine let's say not to say a successful vaccine, but a vaccine that actually works and is proved to work and is safe to work as well, and also again available, and lots of people have that vaccine. As soon as that's available, then we can probably go back to normal, and people have had it. Obviously, it's up to people if they choose to have a vaccine or not, as UK law says. It's up to you if you choose to have a vaccine, but then we're at a point where if you choose not to have it and you come to our event and you do get it and die, then we've taken all precautions sort of sensible, and you've actually put that risk on yourself. Yeah. So that means they put that, if you chose not to have a vaccine for something and you've chosen to have that risk, not just in our event but in your life as a whole. Yeah.
So that would be the ideal case for when things would go back. So we feel that even if the Welsh Government says you can meet up in a place with multiple people, be close to each other without the social distancing, we still think that we probably will not be running our classes at that point. We'll obviously keep an eye on the rest of the tango scene to see what's happening, and we will try and support those who are doing that if it is sensible, we think.
Yeah. And also we would speak to the members of our class, the people that do come every week, what they're comfortable doing or how they feel about it, because I think it's important. There's no point in us deciding to run a physical class and then everyone goes, this is a bad idea, I don't feel safe taking part, so I'm not going to come. So I think it's important to involve your community in whatever choices that you make as well.
Obviously we're very lucky that we don't make any income from this. We don't have any, we have running costs to go with the club, so for insurance and stuff like that. but we've set up a GoFundMe page and people give money for that from the classes. So we're in a fairly good situation. Myself and Alison and other teachers don't have any real investment in the club anymore. When we first started the club, me and Alison, we did, but now we've got the club into a strong financial situation where we can actually cope with this sort of stuff. It's what it is. This is what we are planning to do. We know other people are doing something else. Obviously, if you do have other sort of things that you are considering and you want to discuss them in one of these interviews, we would be more than happy to have a chat and see and put that out there as an alternative. So, when we started, obviously, the other thing we've done when we've done this is actually being able to increase our online presence by doing things like these talks, which hopefully just keeps the mind of those viewing what's actually people in Tango done. Hopefully keeps your information going. We've even done the tutorial series on as well. So we've got lots of online content. It's allowed us to do things which we didn't. We had the idea of doing this talk series last year.
I was going to say, when was the first video? Was it over a year?
Probably over a year ago, yeah. And it was
sitting just here.
Sitting just here. And this has given us the opportunity to actually talk to people. And also I found, even though we've known people like Merrick, Eduardo, Wayne, Basil and Mandy for years. It's normally through the context of going to an event of theirs or them come to our event, in which case you don't actually get a chance to interact. So this has really been a really good way to actually get to know people in the tango scene and how other people work within the tango scene. So,
and their experiences of how they got where they are as well.
So yes, this when we started this talk series, I didn't want to really go too much into the coronavirus pandemic. Obviously it does crop up in each video where people talking about it, but it's been like a minor part of the video, but this one obviously being a whole thing, but we think it's an important thing to actually start putting out there as people going through this. So whichever method you choose to come out of it, we wish you every success with that. We hope you're taking care. And please, if you like this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And I say, if you are in the tango scene or even just the dance scene as a whole, and you want to do one of these Tango Nights Talks videos, please contact us. We will talk to absolutely anybody. So, thank you for watching. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.